Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Jill Tolles joins us. She's Executive Director of the Guinn Center for Policy Priorities. Here for the whole show on all new Nevada Newsmakers.
2025 is bringing big changes for Nevada businesses. If you have more than 5 employees and have been operating for 3 years or more, you must now comply with new state retirement plan mandates. The Vegas Chamber 401k plan makes it easy, offering a proven, customizable, and cost-effective plan for employers and employees to save with tax advantages. Visit vegaschamber.com to explore options and see how the Vegas Chamber can help you start saving for your future.
The winning is about to hit a whole nother level during the $100,000 March Mayhem giveaways at Tamarack Casino. Win up to $5,000 in cash every week and a top prize of $15,000 in cash during the grand finale drawing. Don't miss the mayhem. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
It happens. And when it does, there's UMC Quick Care.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to welcome back to the program Jill Tolles. She is the Executive Director of the Guinn Center for Policy Priorities. Welcome back. It's been too long.
It has been too long. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous, thank you. And that's no more questions, please. So let's start out with the function you have coming up, which is the Gallagher Dialogues.
Yes.
Explain what they are and what you're going to be talking about this year, where and when, and how can people be involved?
Absolutely. Well, it's very exciting. Every year we have an annual event called the Gallagher Dialogues. This is our 4th one. It's named after Tom Gallagher, who actually was a prominent Democrat in Southern Nevada, who was the one who suggested that we name the Guinn Center after a moderate Republican governor. And I think that really speaks volumes about the genesis of the Guinn Center back in 2014, that it was a bipartisan group of leaders that came together that said, we need a central place that you can go to for factual information and data. So in his honor, every year we host the Gallagher Dialogues, where we bring in national speakers. We brought in speakers on AI from the Stanford Center of AI. We brought in Governor Christine Todd Whitman. Last year we brought in the Center for Effective Lawmaking out of Vanderbilt and the University of Virginia. And this year we decided, as we kick off campaign season, it would be a good time to talk about dignity. How do we disagree vehemently on policy or tackle the issues without attacking each other? And so we're bringing in Tim Shriver of the Shriver family, prominent Democrat, and Tammy Pfeiffer, prominent Republican from Utah, who started the Dignity Index, which is a project that examines political rhetoric and just how we talk about each other and how we talk about issues. And they actually engaged the University of Utah, and they put it out on an 8-point scale. So on a scale of 1 to 8, how humanizing or dehumanizing is the language that we use? So 1 would be Rwanda, so dehumanizing that it could lead to political violence and genocide. 8 would be Desmond Tutu, the ability to sit down with your political opponent and treat them like a human being and look for ways to understand each other.
And the thing that is so frustrating to me, and I know you listen to the show, so you've probably heard me babble on about this many times, but to me, 80% of the country in the United States is in the middle. They're moderate. 10% are to the extremes. And yet all we hear from is that 10%. And I think it's so important that we start to get back to listening to the middle, because it's turning off people from wanting to be involved in politics. It's a civil war where nobody can talk to each other. Families are being split up by this. I mean, it's really, we used to joke about, Uncle Joe at Thanksgiving being the one that we didn't want to have too many cocktails. Yep. But now it seems to be the majority.
Well, Tammy Pfeiffer has a great story about her huge family and how they represent every aspect of the political spectrum. And getting together for family reunions or Thanksgiving dinner is a practice in this. How do you have conversations? And, you're right. I think that when I left office, I wrote kind of a memorandum of the top 12 lessons I learned. And lesson number 1 is there's noisemakers and there's lawmakers. And go be a lawmaker. That's my advice to every new legislator. But it's the noisemakers that constantly take up 80% of the airtime. And in reality, we're oftentimes looking for and want the same things. We have different pathways to get there. But how do we at least engage in civil discourse and debate? I taught argumentation and debate at the University of Nevada for a number of years. And I would always start the first few weeks of class talking about civility. That the purpose of debate is not to destroy each other. It's to get closer to truth and closer to the best answer moving forward, the best policy, the best solution. And that's really what we need. It doesn't mean that we all have to pretend to be nice to each other or be fake about it. It just means, how do we get back to the issues, and how do we put aside the personal attacks and really talk about the merit of the debate? That's how we get somewhere in this country and in our state.
Jim Rogers, who ran Sunbelt Communications, which owned Channel 3 in Vegas, Channel 4 in Reno, and other stations around the West, was known for being meteoric, and not necessarily in a good way, with the way he ran his stations. I was on his stations for 13 years. He came to the show many, many times. We never had a disagreement in terms of our personalities. And we talked about it one day, and he said, we disagree, but we disagree agreeably.
Right.
I think that is what we need to push forward, that you have to listen to the other side and have a conversation and not just go in with a dogma and refuse to move from that dogma. It doesn't get anybody anywhere.
Right. It also puts our brains, there's a neurological factor there. It puts our brains in that fight or flight reflex, and instead of engaging our prefrontal cortex where we're actually making decisions and problem solving. And so when we're in that state of having to attack or defend, we're not actually using our highest brain to be able to fix the problem. And that's what we need today. We need lawmakers that are willing to come to the table and do the gritty work of diving into, okay, what is the underlying problem? What is the cause of that problem? What are viable solutions? And have that conversation, that healthy conflict, that negotiation to get to where we need to get for the good of the people. But instead, we just get locked into this attacking each other all the time. And, I brought in a neuroscientist one time to one of my classes, and he said, you always hear you say what you really mean in a fight, that's the real you coming out. It actually is tapping into that primal part of your brain that is just trying to survive. So what you're saying is whatever you need to do to survive or to win that debate, as opposed, or win that fight and get out of it, as opposed to actually getting into the substance of the issues. And that's what we really need to come back to.
But don't you think also and it sounds so simple, listening instead of talking? Because you might hear something that you go, wow, that's a really good idea. And it doesn't really matter which side of the aisle, if there isn't even an aisle. But if somebody has a good idea, let's go with it. All right, so if people want to participate in the Gallagher Dialogues, you've got it set up so that people can either come or they can tune in online. Explain how they can get there.
So actually, it's the first time ever that we are hosting the event statewide from UNLV. We're going to be simulcasting it up to UNR. And we're trying to make sure that as many people are included as possible. We will post the video after the event, but if they want to come, they have to buy a ticket, or we're still encouraging sponsorships to support the Guinn Center and our nonpartisan policy research work. So it's April 2nd. It'll be at, again, UNLV in the Thomas and Mack Stadium in the Skyview Room. And it starts at, program starts at 6:30, and people are encouraged to arrive at 5:30. And then we are going to be simulcasting that to a live, interactive, hosted event up here at UNR in the Joe Crowley Student Union on the 4th floor. And if they want to learn more, they can go to gwinncenter.org. They can also email info@gwinncenter.org and look up our sponsorships, buy a ticket. I encourage people to do it the minute they hear it, because we tend to sell out at least a week or two before the event, and we're coming up close.
And it's also a who's who of Nevada politics. I mean, it really is a wonderful thing to be a part of. So, and I've been to events at both ends of the state, so I can speak from personal experience. Okay, let's take a break, and then let's come back and talk about some of your research.
Great, thanks.
We'll be right back with Jill Tolles after this time out.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
As you know, Reno is booming. Tolles Development Company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Tolles Development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollesdevelopment.com. tollesdevelopment.com.
My whole life has been public service. It's about people. And when we work together instead of yelling at each other, we get things done. We don't always get everything we want, but that's our system of government. Give and take. We don't give up. We keep working. We keep pushing. And when we break ground on Nevada's first children's hospital, when crime rates come down, and when graduation rates improve, that motivates me. That's why I do it.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain. And for over 90 years, the Nevada Trucking Association has been the voice for the men and women in the trucking industry. From Carson City to Washington, D.C., we advocate for policies to protect our trucking companies and keep commerce flowing. Because Nevada's and America's prosperity is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Jill Tolles. She's the Executive Director of the Guinn Center for Policy Priorities. You have statistics. Share them with us.
Well, we are a data-driven, evidence-based, nonpartisan research center. So we, over the last 3 years, I took over this position in January 2023. So obviously I've been tracking our research very closely, and I don't personally do the research. I have a phenomenal team of experts, and we also are affiliated with the University of Nevada, Reno, and we also have partnerships with UNLV's Boyd School of Law and UNLV as well. And so we have an incredible team. We work with subject matter experts, faculty, graduate students to get our research done. Over the last 3 years, we've produced 48 reports and briefs on education, economic and fiscal policy, health and social policy, governance and elections. Historically, we've done some work in natural land and resources. We'd like to go back into that, but we're still needing to continue to build out our support in order to expand in all those areas. But it's incredible to see the breadth of issues that we've tackled. And also, we don't lobby or advocate. It's one of the things that makes us different. We don't start out with a platform. We don't say, here's what we'd like to see move in Nevada. we look at where are we at in Nevada and key indicators, and then we look at what the legislature is taking on. We look at what people are talking about in the news. We do a public survey. We survey legislators, the governor's policy team, and then we have a team of advisors. And we take all that information and we look for trends where both Republicans and Democrats are talking about issues. And then we look for if we can find funding for it through a grant source or through state contract, then that definitely helps. Otherwise, we rely on philanthropic support to be able to look at what we call blue sky research, which is, what are the issues out there? How can we be responsive? So knowing that we don't advocate or lobby, we still want to track how relevant our research is, and we still want to look at whether or not it ties into and impacts the evidence-based decision-making in Carson City. So last session, we tracked 70 bills that were tied to our research, and over 30 of them were directly tied to our actual reports that we produced. And then 11 of our recommendations made it into law, including the governor's biggest bill, which was on housing. And that was a perfect example. You had a Republican governor who asked for that study on housing affordability. You had a Democrat-led legislature approve the funding for it. In the hearing, you had both Democrats and Republicans cite our research, asking questions, which is one of the best values of our research. How do we ask more intelligent, fact-based questions about the policy? And then you had, and this is my favorite part, you had supporters and opponents quoting our research. And
then you know you're doing well.
And you know that you're hitting the center. We're not there to take one side or the other. We're there to drive more informed debate. And so that was the bill that the governor got passed this last session, and 4 of our recommendations made it into the legislation. Obviously, a lot of other groups out there look to our research to help support in their advocacy, but we ourselves don't do the advocating. And then the other two of our other major successes, if you will, of relevance was some of our findings from our pupil-centered funding plan, how we fund students, made it into the omnibus bill. And it had to do with accountability, transparency. Where do those dollars go? We found a major gap in the data that the school districts and the Department of Education weren't reporting consistently. And so it's really hard to be able to tell where does that dollar go to help that student. And so increasing things like transparency, accountability, reducing barriers, and increasing the workforce, and then some other things having to do with student behavioral health and AI. So we're really excited about how do we make sure that what we're doing is relevant. And we need people like your listeners to give us feedback, and but also to support us, because
you need the money.
We get no shortage of, have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? And we're at a place now where we have such a robust team of experts and so much robust research that we have to say no to things, because we need to have the resources to be able to say yes to these crucial issues that we want to study from a nonpartisan perspective.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll deal with that and much more after this time out.
The Road to Riches leads straight to the Carson Valley Inn. Cash drawings Thursday and Saturdays. Over 480 winners. Score up to $15,000 weekly. Plus one $10,000 cash winner and the $20,000 guaranteed grand prize giveaways. Free meals, free play, and more. Only at the Carson Valley Inn.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation, and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. But it's more than just growth. Our community is our foundation, supporting families, empowering local initiatives, and creating a place where everyone belongs. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Join us in building a brighter future right here in Story County. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
Aaron Ford's high-flying travel has caught the attention of nonpartisan investigators on the Nevada Ethics Commission. Ethics officials are examining $35,000 in luxury trips taken by Ford, largely paid for by corporations his office regulates. The investigation also includes allegations Ford leveraged his position for personal gain, accepted gifts, and improperly used government resources. High-flying Aaron Ford. Luxury travel, special interest perks, too much baggage to be governor.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Jill Tolles. She's the executive director of the Guinn Center for Policy Priorities. I know that you have support from some in the gaming industry. It would seem to me that it would benefit everybody that runs major corporations, whether they're gaming or otherwise, to be supporters of the Guinn Center. Because of what you're doing, and because you obviously see as a former legislator the need for this kind of information for legislators to make informed decisions during sessions and during the interim. What is the pushback?
I don't know that there's pushback. I think it's just a matter of capacity. I wear a lot of hats, and so does my team. And we're a very, very small team. I think people are shocked to know how small we are, because what we do well is partner with experts across the state and get some of the best data sources. But we're a pretty small team of, we have 6 full-time, and then we have a number of contractors that we work with. And really, we spend a tremendous amount of our resources on the research itself. So it's mostly me and my assistant director that try and get the word out. That's something that we're working on trying to expand more, is that communication aspect and just letting people know who we are and what we do. But we do have tremendous supporters. We have family foundations, we have individuals, but we also do have corporations beyond just gaming. We also have NV Energy has been a great supporter. We have Google, we've got NextEra, Southwest Gas. I'm sure I'm going to leave people out. But,
yes, no.
We have corporations and organizations, the Nevada Mining Association.
So it's just more really an issue of the ability to get out there. I mean, I understand. I mean, we do the same thing here. It's a small organization, and you've got to produce a show, and then go out and get it funded and all the rest of it. And there's only so much time in a day, unfortunately. I wish we could increase that.
And too many people think of us as an institution, which we are a very small institution connected to larger institutions, but we don't get any dedicated state funding. And we don't get any funding through the universities. And I think that really surprises people. And so for the first 3 years...
Isn't that important, though? I mean, isn't that what allows you to produce reports that are unbiased?
Yes.
Is that you don't have the pressure?
Yes. It is so important for this to remain independent. And that's where the philanthropic side comes in, is that it truly does help us. We did start our first ever endowment. And so one of my areas of focus over the next few years is not just producing this amazing work. We always want to make that number one top priority, but also building out sustainability, so that 30, 40 years from now, that the Guinn Center is going to continue to be that place where people know that they can come and trust. And people ask, how do you be unbiased? Look, we all have biases, right? The first step is admitting that. So some of the things that we do, and I encourage people to download our Nevada briefing book, which talks in depth about our methodology. So we published all of the research, summaries of all the research, plus fast facts, and then most importantly, a list of all of our policy considerations and recommendations at the very end as a handy tool for people for legislators. If you're looking for, what do I want some bill ideas for, that's where you can go to that list of recommendations and trust that there's data and evidence behind them. But in order to stay...
So good for candidates as well.
Great for candidates. If candidates want to run their platforms on factual information and really identify what are the greatest needs, go to our fast facts on each of our areas that we study and look up where are we in unemployment, labor force participation rates, affordability, early child care, preschool access rates, health workforce shortages. There's so much data in there that you can actually build your priorities on what's real and happening in citizens' lives in Nevada. And so in order to do that work, that's where the philanthropic side and donations, large or small, I mean, really, I got a $20 monthly donation that made me extremely thrilled to know that somebody cares enough about our research to want to make that monthly commitment, right? And build a healthier democracy and a more policy-centered debate in the state.
How difficult is it with term limits that you have to educate a whole new group of people every session?
Absolutely. Well, that's a major challenge. And you hear lobbyists talk about that because they have to spend time with new candidates, getting to know them, helping educate them. And you've got LCB, which is still a phenomenal resource. The state itself, the Legislative Council Bureau. We've got a great lot. What they've done with the website and the history of things and being able to research is great. But being able to do an 18-month comprehensive, deep data dive, focus groups, interviews, statewide surveys is where we fill that gap in order to inform legislators, the governor's policy team, and candidates.
Okay, so let's do one more time the URL for people to find out more about the Gallagher Dialogues and how to donate, and then we're out of time.
Oh, thank you so much. So I hope everyone comes to the Gallagher Dialogues. Get your tickets soon. Sponsor. It's gwinncenter.org or info@gwinncenter.org.
Jill Tolles, always a pleasure. Never enough time.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Sponsors are needed for the Greenhouse Project's annual Grateful Harvest Dinner, taking place Monday, September 21st at Nashville Social Club in Carson City. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. For 17 years, the Greenhouse Project has provided agricultural education for students and fresh produce to our community's food insecure. Every dollar you give helps us continue this important, life-changing mission. Go to CarsonCityGreenhouse.org to learn how you can help. Join us in growing a lasting legacy.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Mom! It happens. And when it does, there's UMC Quick Care.
Check out our archives section on NevadaNewsmakers.com. Great interviews going back as far as 2002. Really worth watching. We'll see you on the next broadcast.